Okay, let me start off by saying welcome to the first official episode of the Mr. and the Sister podcast. I don't want to bore you too much, but I gotta give you guys a disclaimer. I've already gone and dropped Lacey back off after we recorded this tonight, but I ran into some issues with the recording in the first episode, so I am still learning how to use two microphones in person at the same time. Anytime I've had an old podcast with somebody else or something, I've always had to do it remote, where I've had we record through the internet and like two separate mics at two different places over this different states or whatever. But this is the first time I'm ever actually having to figure out how to use two microphones in person and record and all that. So I learned all about Streamlabs needing two different separate audio tracks. So you basically set up this the second mic to into a different audio track. And so to basically shorten it, the episode has her mic really crisp. She sounds great. And mine is not working. So it's basically all just feeding into her mic. So I am kind of more in the background and she is more prominent. So that's unfortunate. I hate that this first episode sounds like this, but hey, you can't start a new podcast with your sister without hitting some kind of curveball of a technical difficulty. Technology absolutely loves me, but I'm going to stop boring you guys with this, so apologies. This episode does have me in it, more sounding like in the background, but you can hear me. I just wish that my volume was as even as her. So, enjoy, guys. I promise I'm going to try to fix this for episode 2 so that we both sound great. But enjoy the first episode of Mr. and the Sister podcast.
Oh, no.
I'd like to have a conversation with you.
I have, cut this part out. I have sinuses.
Already?
I have sinuses right now, so I'm just... in the microphone.
I'm not going to cut that out, even though she told me to.
You are.
You're like, liar!
I'll tell your deepest, darkest secret on here, and then you'll have to cut it out.
What would that be?
I don't know.
What do you know that would be the deepest, darkest secret? No, really, share.
He has hairy toenails.
Hairy toenails? You're not wrong. They are very discolored. And I mean, oh yeah, okay, you're referring to when I told you about that.
Hi, my name's Lacey.
Welcome to the show. I don't know how else to even start, but I think at some point we will, I think we'll have, some kind of intro. And I've been thinking a little bit about that. Something along the lines of, okay, because... So, how do I even begin, So, I am Lacey's older brother. Almost said older sister. I can't even think right now. I'm Lacey's older sister. Call me, Travina. So, I know, let me just back up. I'm very aware that, y'all listening, and some of y'all that I may have sent this link to or whatever, just to get a couple subscribers going or whatever. Who knows? I might even just start completely fresh. Just let it grow naturally. But I'm sure a couple of you are subscribing, and I appreciate it. But I am very aware that this is my 667th podcast. Okay, but I kind of me and Lacey have always sort of I know that you're always wanting to do something creative together.
Yes.
And we always talk about that. We get on the phone and we literally talk for hours if we allow it. Sometimes we're so on the move and it's okay, love you, bye, and whatever, and just done. But there's been nights where we've talked, or you've hung out here and we've talked for just literally hours. And I really have been missing podcasting. I miss it. I miss everything about it. And even though sometimes I feel like I've got too many irons in the fire, I've got too many creative projects that I got Twitch, I got YouTube and all this, but it just it kind of hit me one day. I was just I hit her up and I was like, hey, I know that before my last podcast that I did by myself crashed and burned, quote unquote, and I mean that in the way of like I stopped on purpose because it was just getting guests and stuff like that, and there's not too, I mean, I feel like I can do it solo, but I wouldn't want that to be just all the time. And so I hit her up and was just like, hey, what, like, you've always wanted to be on that podcast before I stopped, and I was looking forward to doing that because it was finally like an in-person co-host, like, and we have a lot to talk about all the time. So then it kind of, I don't know, what was that, a few weeks ago, a month ago, when I was just like, hey, you want to do a podcast together and like start from scratch?
Yeah, that was a few weeks ago.
Yeah, and so,
Yeah.
I mean, look, and I told you, I was like, if you have any hesitations about it, let me know, like.
And see, like, I was shocked that we actually came up with a plan to do it, and now I'm here. Because we've talked about doing a podcast or YouTube together for, like, months now. And now it just is finally here.
And, I mean, like, you know, you're just a little bit about us in general for the new people that don't know us in person and stuff.
Yeah,
like,
I have not properly introduced myself.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Lacey. I was about to say I'm Lacey's older brother.
See, it's like we're both, like, literally, we are both tired. Like, she's been, like, up since 9 a.m. I've been up since work, and it's a Saturday, and it's just, like, I told her probably the best night to record this and do it, like, on a weekly basis or a 2-week basis, however we ended up doing it, but is after work for me on Saturday because it's my Friday, and it'll just be easier because we could, like, literally record all night if we wanted to. And I forgot where I was going with that.
Not sure. But like I was saying,
Yeah, go ahead.
I am Travis's little sister. Whenever I say little sister, I feel like people don't realize how much of an age gap there is between us.
Yeah.
There's 14 years between us.
I mean, I texted you recently trying to do the math.
Yeah.
And, like, the reason I was trying to do the math, too, is because we were, like, really trying to agree on a name. Because, like, I wanted it to be something that does mean, like, sibling in some way. And, like, we had all these, like, the other one that we came up with, like, the Same Mom podcast. Because, like, we do have the same mom, and that's why we're siblings. We're actually half siblings. And completely different dads that never met,
Yes.
like, ever, and many years apart. And so, I mean, it's just, there's a lot I could go into that about, but anyway.
And we will eventually.
But yeah, I mean, there's, like, you know, there's so much, but I try not to, like, go down a rabbit hole very easy. I can do that very easily, but it's just like, yeah, there's such a big age gap. And when I had the idea to ask her to do the podcast, I was like, you know, like, I think it'll be very interesting because two different perspectives on life. We always talk about life, and, like, you know, over the phone or whatever, we just, like, mostly it's just, like, one of us is having a problem and it's like, I need to vent, you know, and, like, but, I mean, you gotta have people like that. And it just, I don't know, we have such a big age gap, but that was part of the charm, I felt like, when I came up with doing this, because I was like, well, how we, like, I would just say our ages, like, I'm 30, and you're 19, right? Okay, I got it right.
Well, you turn 31 in 2 months, so our age gap is 12 years. I just did it in my head.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and, like, some of the names I had was, like, 12 years siblings or something like that, but nothing was really sticking.
Yes.
And that's kind of how we came to the conclusion of possibly Mr. and the Sister. which is weird to say out loud, but I feel like after I kept saying the same mom podcast out loud to myself, because sometimes when I come up with a name of myself, I'm literally like a crazy person sitting in a room like saying it out loud to see if it sounds like it has a good ring to it. And that one just didn't quite stick, even though it is funny, but I wanted something kind of with sort of like charm. Like I listen to a lot of podcasts, and like they always have these kind of like, it can go from a simple name but it's also catchy at the same time, to like just like for instance Roman Atwood, like him and his YouTube channel, like his podcast is literally the Roman Atwood podcast. But I didn't want to go the route of like the Travis and Lacey podcast, like just nothing boring, you know. So so it's kind of a play on like, I've never been, I don't think I've been called Mr., but I've been called Sir, obviously just because of work and stuff and people being professional. But like, it's kind of a play on like our age difference. I'm the older one, you're the younger one.
Yes.
And, you know, and because of that, we invite you, like, and if you're listening to this and this episode itself is like years old already or like a few months old and you found it somehow, like, we invite you to like comment, you know, like, because I feel like with our age difference and our life experiences kind of being different, I mean, some the same, some not, I mean, we like giving perspective on life.
Yes. And that's the thing about our age difference is I know that I could call you with advice about life, relationships, work, school, like literally anything, and you're going to have a lot more wisdom than I am because you're a lot older than me.
I'm old.
Yeah.
No, and I mean, like, it's like, and it's never like that I've technically, maybe even whatever you're asking me, I may not have lived it because I was a pretty isolated child, but whatever, that's another story. But at the same time, like, what, you need to cough or something?
I need a burp.
But yeah, it's the Sprite, that's why.
Mm-hmm.
But what were you gonna say about that?
Well, I was just gonna say that, like, so a little bit about me, and like, I'm not gonna get into like the full story or whatever, but like I or like everything about my life, but right now I'm a cosmetology student and I'm working part-time. So my life has gotten really busy lately, so we haven't really had a lot of time to talk. Okay. So because of that, like, it's nice to know that we have like a scheduled somewhat for now time that works around both of our schedules so that we can actually sit and talk about life and advice, but everybody else in the whole world's going to hear it. So we may get into some like hard stuff, maybe funny, like just our lives in general. It's going to be personal, but also he has a great sense of humor, and he's very funny, in my opinion. He is my brother, so maybe I'm biased. But, of course, we're siblings, so we're going to get along well. So things that we say might be funny to us, but not to y'all.
Yeah, surprisingly, let me be, like, the first one to have a disclaimer, to, like, you know, yeah, you're right. I mean, we do get along well. You would think, like, you know, because everyone has their whole thing about siblings fight or whatever, but really, no. I mean, like, maybe when we were kids, but, like, that was different.
Yeah. And see, like, the thing about whenever we were kids, so, like, I keep going back to the age gap, but we were also not raised in the same household.
Right.
And I would always, like, go over to his house. And at that time, I was, 6 or 7, and you were a teenager. And I knew I would get on your last nerve, but, like, I don't remember that because I was so little. So, as far as...
all that information out. So bad that I blocked it out.
So, as far as I can remember, we've never fought. I think it's one, because we weren't raised in the same house. Two, because you were already grown by the time I was old enough to even fight.
I mean, you were a kid. Like,
yes.
Kids act up.
Yes.
Like, but, you didn't grow into that. And, I mean, I've countlessly told you before, like, just on different occasions where I'm just like, I'm not surprised that you turned out good, but, like, I've told her a couple times, like, when you turned 18, like, you literally could have just rebelled as much as you wanted, and, like, I mean, everybody lives in some way, or you go out and have experiences, and I feel like you definitely have had a lot of experiences, like, for a teenager. Like, you're not, whatever. You're still 19, there's teen on the end of it, but you're technically an adult now. You've been an adult.
Okay, not to brag on myself or anything, but I would say I'm more of an adult than most 19-year-olds are.
Yeah. I mean, she's very mature for her age, and like, what was I gonna say about that? Like, yeah, you could have done anything, but, like, you turned out, like, very family oriented. Like, you stuck close to us, even though you didn't have to.
It's only because I can't make friends, guys. That's it.
Says the one that had, like, how many people over your house tonight, by the way?
10.
Like, okay, I was about to say 6, but that's even more. Like,
well, counting me and Kevin, then 10. But 4 of them were kids. So, my best friends, like, even, this is, like, how he was saying that I'm mature for my age. The people that I hang out with are older than me. The people that I hang out with are my brother's age. And they already have kids and, like, married and all that kind of stuff. So, whenever my best friends come over, those are pretty much my nephews and one niece out of all the kids. There's only one girl. But, like, that's my version of a Saturday night hanging out with friends, is having kids. So, I thought it broke for a second.
No, it just, I need to move the mouse every now and then, but it's still recording.
But, yeah, I love children. That's, like, my second passion other than cosmetology. And, yeah, so.
I mean, yeah, and, like, yeah, you're going to school now. And, like, if anybody's going to school, like, right now, or it's your first experience, or you're in cosmetology, leave a comment about it. Like, maybe you have a question or whatever. Like, I know that you guys...
Or, like, advice for any new baby stylist is what they call it. Like, I just did my first color today, and I loved it. It took 6 hours, but I literally just got done. But I loved it so much, and I liked it a lot more than I thought that I would, because after a while, like, I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do this all day. Like, my feet hurt. I'm getting tired already. Right. But, like, the end result is like, man, I really did that. So...
Yeah, and so in your mind, it's like, man, if I could make this a career, I'd be like, high on life, literally, like, where you just, and that's kind of where I'm at now. Like, I'm not going to say where I work, but I work in retail, and it's not my passion. I want out eventually, and I just want to do something that makes me happy. And, like, yeah, I could go to school and whatever, like, but, I mean, she could probably tell you it costs. So,
it does cost.
So there's that. But maybe I will eventually, I don't know, but, like, I just enjoy being a content creator, and if I could go somewhere with that, I'd be happy with it. I mean, I am affiliate on Twitch, but, I mean, I got paid once. Like, it's like, I've been paid once because it's so hard to, like, push for that. If I had no job but could also pay my bills, then I would have, like, every single day of the week to stream if I wanted to. And actually do well at it, and, like, I don't know, YouTube is YouTube about it. Like, they don't that one definitely don't pay well, but
yeah, and
but
the whole thing, like you were saying, like, you could go to school. Going to school plus working is an extremely
it would have
hard...
I'm very aware that it would have to be, like, I would have to just leave my job and just dedicate to it.
Because
no way.
Just like, and I've only been working for a week now, but I've been going to school. This is my second month. And I know that, like, only working for a week, like, man, you shouldn't be retired already. But waking up at 8 o'clock in the morning and not being in bed off of your feet, and, like, going to school from 9 to 3 and then working for 4 to 10 and not being in bed till 11, being on your feet from 9 a.m. to 11 p.m. is so tiring on your body, your feet, and everything. Like, you don't have any time in that day to barely take a shower.
Right. And I mean, yeah, you're kind of getting a little taste of the work life right now. And more meaningful sleeps, like, and I mean that in the way of, like, because you're so tired and because your feet hurt so bad, like, your body, like, because, I mean, and even kind of recently I feel like you were having the, like, going to sleep issue sort of thing.
Right. Yes.
But are you even having that anymore, though?
No,
you're out. Okay, I was about to say, because if you were having, like, that issue, plus you still couldn't sleep very well.
I did have a couple nights this week where I got home from work and I'm like, man, I just can't go to sleep. But that's because I think I was so awake all day long, and then I get home and I'm tired, but then I take a shower and it wakes me up. And then just with 1 week of working, then I'm a server, going to be a server, and they give you menu tests that you have to memorize the whole menu and pass every test before you can be a server. Those are hard to memorize, especially for somebody who has trouble learning things on paper and not online, because I did online school almost all my life thanks to homeschooling, but also COVID gave me that option through high school, and I took it, and now I kind of wish I wouldn't have, but I was like, so like, I have to do this for school and this for school, and then I have to do this for work, and then tomorrow I have to go to work. Like, it's so overwhelming at the beginning, where you're like, dang, like, I really don't know how I'm gonna do this, but then you just
do it.
Yep, just do it. I went in and I sat down with my boss, and I'm like, look, I can't pass all these tests right now, and y'all, at the beginning, whenever I got hired, they gave me a schedule, then they tried to change it up. I'm like, look, this is all that I can work, and I can't do these tests right now. And he was super understanding, and, like, yeah. So, actually, he asked to talk to me because he could see how stressed I was, but, like, right. I told him how I felt.
I mean, and that's what they should do.
Right.
I feel like if he was somebody that was just kind of ignoring your issues or whatever, then it would be a situation how I feel about my job. No, my job, like, if I reach out to them, that's my problem, is not being a, like, very confrontational person. I'm very introverted, but, like, with a little bit of extrovert. But no, like, I just, yeah, if he wouldn't be doing his job if he wasn't checking in on you, and look, that's a sign of a good boss, and that's really good to hear, though.
And I was kind of discouraged whenever he brought me in, and he was like, how do you think you did in training? And I was like, I think I did pretty good. He's like, well, you're going to have to do another day of training because you didn't do as well as you needed to do. And I was discouraged, but then I was like, I had been at school all day long. I had a hard day at school, and I came in. Another day of training is not going to hurt me. So it is actually going to help me. So, I mean, I got discouraged, but I'm just excited to be working. And, like, people that I go to school with, it amazes me because right now I'm only working 3 to 4 days a week. And I'm so thankful that, like, I'm in a position that I don't have to necessarily work due to, like, paid for school and my boyfriend, Kevin, that I live with. I'm sure you'll hear a lot about him. Like,
he'll be listening.
I'm so thankful that, like, I have such a great support system where if I didn't want to work, I didn't have to, but I'm doing it for myself, and I know I'll enjoy the paycheck, so but I see moms that I go to school with, like, people that are in their 30s and 40s going to school with me, that are moms with kids that some are even grown. Some have, one of the girls that I actually really get along with at school, she has a daughter that's 28 years old. Like, I love seeing those moms go to school and, like, actually work towards their dreams after their kids are grown.
Yeah, because they didn't give up.
Yeah. But then there's moms that have, like, 5 to 5-year-olds to like adults that they have to work every day, like every single day, on top of paying for childcare, that are single moms and they're working. And I feel bad because I'm complaining about going to work for 3 or 4 days when they have to work 7 days a week and go to school and take care of kids. Like, kudos to them because I couldn't do it.
Yeah, I mean, it's, it's its own, I mean, like, shout out to my friends Tyler and Cassidy. They're a couple. They're married, and they've got, man, they popped out twins immediately. They were a long distance relationship, and then whenever they met, twins immediately, and I'm trying not to disrespect them by not remembering how many kids. Twins and Kaya. So twins and a 1-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
3 freaking children. Like, and I've told them both, like, I don't know how you do it, because I get overstimulated and stressed out when my animals fight. Like, and you guys probably will catch Pepper in there sometimes. Like, you'll hear her barking because she's just wrestling with the cat or whatever. And, like, any animal lovers, drop your comments.
Yes. We did forget to add the most important part of our lives.
What?
We are both parents to wonderful cats.
We are both parents.
Yes.
To wonderful babies that have fur.
Yes. No, neither of us have children of our own. Like I said, I have a lot of not technical, but like nephews and my niece that is at the house all the time. But I also have Angel and Ollie. Those are my babies. And they're equivalent to children. They eat, they sleep, they poop like any other ones. So they fight constantly. But no, like, we don't have any kids, but technically we do. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of, depends on how you look at it. I'm still, I think you kind of joke about that sometimes. Like, it's like you're self-aware. Let me just call them this. This is the best way I could describe this. But, like, the fur baby Karens.
Mm-hmm.
So you almost, like, have a sense of humor about it where that's kind of, like, I won't call it insane, but, like, just that mindset of, like the people that will literally say, yes, I have 10 children. Is like, what are their ages? One is, like... They're all around 1 to 6 months or something like or whatever, and the woman is literally talking about cats as she says, I have babies. That confuses people when you just randomly say that without just saying I have, like, so my quickest version is just fur babies.
Yes.
And but you like kind of joke about that, where I'm pretty sure you have told me that you have said to somebody, yes, I have children. I have 2 wonderful cats, like, whatever.
Yes.
But you're at least self-aware where you're not,
I'm
quote-unquote insane about it. And that's,
yes.
No hate to anybody that, like, calls their pets their children. We do, too. Like, I genuinely, like, my wife, Ashley, is, like, she loves animals. She loves cats. If anything, she probably made me fall more for cats because I was kind of forced to, like be, not forced, okay, let me take that back, but, like, I love pets, and, like, I appreciated when I met her that she loves, like, one of the cats we have, his name is Sherlock. He's a fat boy, and he's a tuxedo cat. Anybody that doesn't know, that's black and white. He's got one little brown spot right on his hip, though. And that's been her baby. He was the man in her life before me. So, like, he's been around. And, yeah, and so, like, she immediately, like, I mean, as part of the relationship, like, I love cats. Like, are you cool with that? I was like, yeah, I love, but I was always... I kind of grew up in an environment where, like, wasn't really allowed to have pets, but I did have dogs and stuff growing up, but it's kind of like a relationship that didn't last long. Like, my parents, like, I don't know, would, like, I'm not saying get rid of them, but, like, I don't know. It's kind of like weird to talk about because I don't want to like talk negatively about my parents in that way, but like but I just things didn't work out between me having like a family pet. And so maybe that's the reason that I love animals so much, because it was like so much buildup of like I want a cat, you know, to hang out with or whatever.
See, I didn't have that issue.
You all had a lot of animals.
5-second timeout because I
right.
really have to pee.
Go ahead.
We're back.
We are back. We didn't take a bath here, Meg. Well, she peed and I stretched.
Hold on.
The sip of life.
Okay, so
That probably broke the freaking space-time continuum. I don't even know if that's how you say it. Space, whatever. Anyway, what?
I'm getting over being sick and I have a lot of allergies. Something you will find on the podcast is there is always something going on with me. I'm always sick, getting hurt. Anyway, resume animals.
I mean, you literally told me today we were almost in a wreck today. I'm like,
Oh, and
why?
and my nephew almost drowned in the pool, but it's because we had so many kids with us, and
so much to keep up with.
Yes, well, a little story time about what happened. A little quick story time. There was this long slide, and keep in mind he's like 3 feet tall probably. He's 5. No, he's 6. I'm 7. And well, we turn around and he's gone. And the little kiddie pool is by the edge of, or like super close to the stairs of the slide. Well, he somehow got out of our top for 5 seconds and ran up the stairs of the slide, and they let him go down without a life jacket on. And he came out, and he was not swimming when he came out. But there was a lady over there that helped him, and he came back over. We were looking for him, and he came back over. He ran up to us. He said, "Hey guys, I went down the slide, but I couldn't swim." We're like, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway, resume cats.
I mean, like, we can go down, you know, rabbit holes of things that's happened to us or whatever. Like, if you guys have any questions, like, or random stuff that's happened to you, comment. I really want this to be, like, super interactive with the audience and stuff. Like, even if it's just a little bit, like when me and Dustin had our podcast for a while, like, we had quite a bit of like viewers built up. I mean, of course, some of it was like crossover audience, like a couple people, maybe 1 or 2 came from like my food review channel over to our podcast, and he had, shout out to Oro, that he was like from Dustin's channel and stuff like that, and like and we started doing it on Twitch, so it was live every single time. And people would join and stuff like that. So I don't know, that I don't regret any podcast that I have ever owned that I started, because it taught me how to do it and how to, like, you know, get more comfortable just talking long form behind a mic, because anything that I've done creatively has just been like a 5-minute video or like 10 minutes or something cut down, me freaking, like, it just sounds so weird to say, but just like freaking eating something or drinking something and reviewing it, like the most uncomfortable thing on the planet for me to do, and I somehow, like, am still doing it very slowly. But, like, I've always loved, ever since I've tried podcasting, I've always loved it. Just, like, man, just timing and, like, scheduling with other people and stuff has always been kind of the roadblock. But I think sort of in this situation, I mean, you live in the same city I do.
Literally 5 minutes away.
I mean, literally, I went and picked her up, and I was just like, yeah, like, it's the vibe, because it's like, it really was, like, and I don't mean to just go on and on about the idea about the podcast and be so meta about it, but, like, genuinely, like, I was just working one day, and it was like something that's, like, I think has always been in the back of my mind as an option, and then I finally kind of brought it to the front, and was like, think about that for a little bit. And, you know, with working and stuff, I have a lot of time in the day. I mean, I do, but I don't have a lot of time for my mind to just wander. And the more I thought about it, the more it made sense, because I literally thought about how many times we have rather sat here, not here, but sat in this place, this house, whatever, or on the phone and talked, like, and sometimes it's supposed to be like a 15-minute call turns into 2 hours, which is like, those are, because when you have a great conversation with somebody, rather it was great in the way of like negative, positive, whatever, I mean, you feel great.
Yes. And this is going to be kind of like my therapy session, because therapy is expensive, and this is
I mean,
for both of us.
I'm glad I could be here for you for
right.
it. I feel...
I'll pay you later.
It's like, in cash. No, I do,
See, that's what you should go to school for. You would be a great therapist.
I've thought about it. The only thing about it is, like, you have to do so many years.
Yeah,
like,
just invite people over and do therapy, and then have them pay you under the table. I don't understand. Okay, listen. I get why you need, like, a qualification to be a therapist for the psychological part of it. Just watch some YouTube videos. You'll be fine. I'm just kidding. Like, no discredit to anybody who's in psychology or has taken it, because it is. I took it in high school, and it is a lot to learn about the brain. But I really don't think to be a therapist, the therapist part of it, just listening and giving advice based off your experience. That's what therapy is mostly about. I don't care how my brain works. I just care if I feel okay.
Yeah, I mean...
So...
Yeah. I mean, some of them that have qualifications and degrees aren't good.
Yes.
Though I haven't had that experience myself. I haven't, I've heard... I remember looking up, because I know... And maybe one day we'll get sponsors and I can do ads for, like, BetterHelp. I'm always hearing about BetterHelp and stuff. Or Liquid Death. Liquid Death, please sponsor me. Or sponsor us. But like BetterHelp, for instance, this is not an ad, but I'll just, like, I wanted to try it, and I looked up reviews and stuff like that, because it's so based on your schedule.
Mm-hmm.
You can do it over the internet, or, like, you can literally text your therapist. And I've heard so many horror stories with it, and it's like, how much did I want to pay for it? Like, but long story short, I'm not gonna go too, like, because I'm not going to tell you if I pay for therapy or if I don't, blah, 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 like, but, I do see somebody for therapy, quote unquote, and he's a pastor, and that helps me. Yes. It's every 2 weeks on a Monday, I'm seeing him this week, and I'm excited about it, because, like, he hasn't just let out stuff. He's opened my mind to some things. It's not like he's, like, literally trying to tell me, like, hey, do this in your life. He's just taking in the information and saying, hey, like, maybe this is why you have this and this, because, and I know a lot of you listeners probably have this, but and she does as well, but I can only really tell, like, my own side. I have anxiety really bad, and, like, everyone has a different kind of version of anxiety, but he has helped me kind of unpack that, because I've never had an expert, quote unquote, or whatever, like, someone that's, like, more up there in age, has seen life, has talked to other people, has seen other people go through things and talk to people about things, or probably even talk people out of, like, taking their life or whatever, like, like, it helps, to talk, and I feel like, that's just, there needs to be a better way. I feel like we need to get to a place in the world where therapy is more accessible for people. I feel very strongly about that, because we have to get to a point where we don't, because it is very, very easy to feel alone in it. It's very easy to feel like your thoughts are with you and by yourself, but it's not the case, because most of the time she's yawning her head off right now over and over. I'm kind of there too, but I've got a little bit of, I still got some coffee left, so I'm kind of good. But you want to sip?
I hate coffee.
Oh yeah, you don't like coffee. You're
No.
weird. But anyway,
Oh my goodness.
What?
Squirrel. No. I was at work the other day and I forgot that they served coffee. I went to go clean off this like 10 top table. Like there was a lot of people there, like at least 10. I'm pretty sure it was a little bit more than 10. But anyway, a few of them had coffee and I walked over to the table and was picking up, like I was trying to hurry. I got a whiff of coffee. I set everything down and I thought I was going to barf. I hate the smell of coffee, the taste of coffee, everything. I make Kevin coffee before he goes to work. I did more often whenever I was not in school or working, but now that I am, it's rare. But no, I hate it. I hate coffee, period.
I mean, I definitely, it has to be cold for me. I can't stand hot coffee. It takes too long to get to the point where you can even drink it, and what's the point?
It's cold.
I literally hate the feeling of like a hot cup of coffee in your hand that you can't even hold. It's like, what's the point? Like people, I don't know. Some of you that drink really hot scalding coffee, I don't understand.
Do you like hot chocolate?
Yeah.
What?
But I don't. I don't go out of my way to have it. I really don't. That's actually the problem. Like, I like things cold. Every drink I have, I'd rather it be cold. Like, I don't.
Yeah, I can't think of anything that I drink warm, other than.
I mean, supposedly. I mean, I don't know if this is like true, but like, I feel like if you drink like, not necessarily hot, but like warm water, it like helps like when you're sick or whatever, like just the kind of steam of it or something. I
would know. I don't drink water.
We need more water, but
no, we don't. Liquid Death, please sponsor us.
Death to plastic. Grandma, it's just water. Calm down. Yes, Liquid Death, please. Please. Please sponsor.
Hey, if you sponsor me, then I'll drink more water.
Honestly, literally, I might actually try to reach out to Liquid Death. Be like, hey, just started a podcast. Would love you to be the first sponsor.
Because we mentioned you 15 times. If you're listening to this, sponsor.
Genuinely, like, I actually buy it. I drink it. I give it to her whenever I'm here. Whenever she's here, I'm like, hey, you know.
I've never heard of Liquid Death until this guy. Like, literally, every time I come into the house, do you want water? No. Like, no, I don't drink water. I only drink caffeinated beverages, and I know that's bad for me. You can go ahead and tell me that. Kevin tells me I need more water every day. I do not care. I wake up with a headache almost every morning, and he's like, if you drink water, then you would be more hydrated and you would have headaches. I said, no. I get up and I take 2 ibuprofen with my Coke in the morning. Like, I do not drink water. The closest thing to healthy that I drink is maybe milk and sweet tea. Sweet tea, there's a lot of sugar that I put in it, so not sure that it's healthy either. But milk counts. There's water in milk. My sweet tea is majority water.
You trust me, you'll start to change it when you get older.
I'm sure.
Because you'll be like, oh, crap. Like, it just, like, it hits you. Like, I'm at that point now where it's like, I was just telling Ashley about this the other night, like, how I used to live when I lived with, like, my mom and stuff. And it just, during my childhood, but during my teen years, I, like, chugged sodas. Well, never chugged, but I drank sodas back to back. Still feel like I need that burn of it. But then that's why I've slowly kind of replaced things. Like, there's a lot of even friends of mine that are like, zero sugar sucks, whatever. Like, look, like, it's all about mindset. Like, if you can get to a point where you can replace something and trick your brain into, like, because for me, it's the burn. That's what I want. That's why I switched to Sprite Zero Sugar, because that is the most, like, that is, like, almost, I swear there's more of a burn to it than regular Sprite. But, like, I'm not gonna have that sugar in me or caffeine, which Sprite doesn't have caffeine, but, before I go to sleep, whatever. I'm just saying that I'm at the age now, and I'm just 30, so it sounds like I'm, like, 50, but I swear my body treats me like I'm 50, because if I have too much sugar, like, even hours before I go to bed, I'm gonna feel it the next day. I just call it the sugar hangover. Like, I don't know what that is, And that's a little bit of what you do as well, where it's like if you have a headache when you wake up, it's like, yeah, you had all of that and you had nothing to like be like revive you, I guess,
Right.
rehydrate. I was actually listening to Theo Von,
Oh,
I was listening to Theo Von earlier, and they were talking about how ridiculous it is. Like we literally, like all this science shows, like we actually need a ridiculous amount of water, like to where it's like even if you're a water person, you're not drinking that much water. Like they say you need to be drinking like a gallon a day, and I'm like, how? Like when you have time to drink a gallon a day, even if it's obviously throughout the day, but like, I mean, shout out to Ryan, like, my best friend Ryan, like, literally drinks water every day. Like, that is his main drink. I feel like he's kind of gone in and out of, like, water and sodas, but he's still primarily at least cleanses with water. And I swear, he probably drinks more than a gallon a day, so he's on the, like, he knows how to do it. I don't know. I wish I was like that, but I need to put more water in my system as well. So.
I drink probably a gallon of water, if that, a month. So I hope there's no doctors listening to this because.
Well, you're still young, so.
Well, that's probably why I'm always unhealthy and I'm always sick, but.
Immune system. Gotta love it, but
Oh, back to therapy. What were we saying? I was in
the
therapy.
Show, guys. We go all over the place, but that's what I love about it.
I was in therapy for a long time whenever I was younger because I had ADHD, really bad, and I was in therapy for 4 years, from whenever I turned 14 to 18. I stopped therapy whenever I turned 18, and think that's probably the worst thing I could have done to myself, because I was so used to having somebody to talk to and then I wasn't. Like I want to get back in therapy, but like those 4 years, it was mainly getting over, I have like anxiety and PTSD, depression, stuff I've really struggled with. But the crazy thing is during those times, I thought that I needed somebody to talk to, and I did. But since I've turned 18, this has probably been one of the roughest years of my life. There's been a lot of stuff happen that, well, I mean, I'm sure that we'll get into it more on the podcast, but like, I wasn't in therapy, and those 4 years whenever I was, yes, I was going through things, but nothing compared to the last year of my life. So between like in and out of jobs and moving and freshly turning 18, well, I moved out whenever I was 17, but like getting my own place and like being in a long-term relationship at a young age, and that is a stress by it's not a stress, that's the wrong word to use, but like that's a struggle, that's hard, especially from two people who come from like a broken, what they say, like past or family or whatever,
different
like
backgrounds.
yes, and kind of like different but also similar, who both struggle with anxiety and ADHD and depression. Like that is, you're gonna need an outsider's perspective or advice for that. Yeah, it's a lot of work and a lot of commitment, especially at a young age. You have to really fight for that. And it's just crazy to me that I didn't have therapy in the worst year of my life, but then I had it in the other 4 whenever there's not a lot of stuff going on. I wouldn't say worst. Like I've definitely learned a lot and grew a lot more in the past year than I have ever in my life. Of course, you're going to learn a lot more and experience a lot more whenever you're out on your own and making your own decisions. Yeah. Because you can't do whatever you want whenever you're still in your parents' house. But, I mean, you could, but no. Yeah.
I mean, in some way, we both have experienced some sort of being sheltered. in some way, and like even though it was in different kinds of situations, but like just I don't know, and that's why I said like you could have done anything, and I mean I could have too, but I think I've been so level-headed. Like I feel like Dad sometimes every now and then will just tell me like I'm proud of you, son, or whatever. Like he'll just say like like his I get okay. Look, I think I shocked a lot of people with like actually holding not to say that I had a pattern of holding bad relationships, because that's the thing is I was sheltered. I didn't date a lot. I finally kind of started to dabble in that here and there because I was like, I mean, look, I like girls. I got to talk to them. Like, and like I knew like, well, one day I want one, and like the one that's like forever and like all that, but obviously I didn't expect it like but I mean, even though I am married, sometimes I'm like, actually think I got married at a good age. Like it was like not too early, but not like too way down the road either. And like I mean, you've already told me that I shocked you.
You shocked me.
So, like, explain a little bit of that, like,
so
how I used to be, and like,
I'm just gonna throw this out there, a little bit about our past, so that, because a lot of the stories that we tell about our life would not make sense about our relationship if I didn't. Yeah. So, I was in foster care from age 14 till 18, and I was not allowed to talk to my brother much. I was allowed to see. I think I saw you a couple times within those 4 years. And
even there was definitely a big gap though. Yes, of like nothing.
Even before then since we did have separate dads, and he was raised by my mom's side of the family, I was raised by my dad's side of the family, for the most part. And I mean, my mom and my dad's side of the family, but it was kind of a different family situation. So whenever my parents got divorced and we had separate dads, then we didn't see each other much, if that makes sense. So I would say probably from age 11 or 12 all the way to age 18, we did not hang out. We did not see each other or anything. So keep in mind, whenever I last saw my brother, I was probably 9, and you are 12 years older than me, so you would have been about probably 18 or 19 whenever I saw you. 18 or 19-year-old Travis was socially awkward. Sorry, I'm putting you on blast right now.
Okay.
Socially awkward.
That's what it's about.
I never saw him come within 6 feet of a girl ever. So, there were zero interest. His only interest was his friends in the movies and YouTube.
And video games.
Still is, okay. The generation now is a lot different than then, so picture my brother as, like, a 12, 13-year-old boy, like, whenever it comes to his interest. Like, now I would say 18, 19-year-old guys are more interested. You know what I mean? Like, just because of how the generations are, and it is, like, how it is now. But, no, I was like, then 9 or 10-year-old me is like, he's never going to get married until he's, like, 40. So then whenever we reconnected, whenever we were 18, whenever I was 18, not we, whenever I was 18, I was like, you're married? For how long?
Was it?
Who?
But it wasn't like, right. That time that I won't, like, I'll ask her in the future if she don't mind saying her name, but I'll just say our mom. That time that it was like what did she do? She she called me or something. Like, we basically planned, like, I hadn't seen you in a long time.
Yeah, I was 14.
Oh, was that then? I'm talking about, like,
yeah, that was
like that time that she lived at the other apartment.
Yeah,
like,
that was a week before I went into foster care.
Yeah, because I remember, because you came out and tackled me, and I remember.
Yes.
I remember thinking recently, that, like, within that time after that, like, you grew, like, you had a bit, so you were definitely, like, you and summer were like way smaller.
Yes.
Even then, and like that feels like that was recently. What year was that?
I was 14. I'm 19 now, so
that's mind blowing. I feel like I'm not saying you're wrong. I just feel like you're wrong. But no, no, I'm not saying you're wrong. It almost feels like you were older than that though.
I wasn't.
But I guess 14 would probably math kind of out how like tall you were.
Well, yeah, that because I was never this kind of like not hard information, but like a lot of like I was never allowed to go to her house whenever I was in foster care, so it had to have been. And but whenever I was 18, then she was already moved into Mimi's house. So also, if you hear us refer to like Mimi mom, Mimi is my grandma and mom is his mom that he was raised by, but it's my grandma. It's like that's what we mean. We're talking about the same person whenever we say Mimi mom and then there's our mom.
And
if
sometimes
that makes sense.
It's just easier for me, and I just like when I'm talking to Lacey, I'll just be like Mimi, like I'll just say, because it's just kind of quicker than like anybody getting confused on like like I almost said it, but no, but yeah, that'll be, I think that'll be another podcast sometime, but what was I trying to say about you? Let me see, because you said you were 14. What was I trying to say about that? Because like I feel like we were talking about something.
You were dating
before.
Ashley.
Oh yeah. Because I was trying. Okay, because my brain was trying to figure out like, was I married yet, or
you were
just
not
dating?
Married?
Because we got married in November 2019.
That was 4 years ago.
Yeah.
So no, that was 5 years ago.
So yeah, you definitely So it was definitely like. Reuniting with you like that was before that, but yeah. So what I'm trying to get to is basically like I wasn't okay. So actually, that does make sense because you, like you said, you went into foster care, and so then obviously like you wouldn't have been able to come to the wedding anyway.
Yes. Because I was not at his wedding.
It's well, yeah.
It wasn't by choice.
She wasn't, but neither was Mimi anyway. So it's not. There was people missing. Like okay, but it wasn't like it was for me and Ashley. It was genuinely like a let's get this over with.
Let me add that we all love him very much. I wasn't able to be there because of foster care, and Mimi was sick at the time. Yeah. So it's not like Let me add that we didn't choose to not come to the wedding.
No, and I've thought about that kind of information has kind of just I've randomly thought about it before where I'm like if me and Ashley were like getting married this year instead, like you definitely would be there because you would have the freedom.
In the summer of 2 years, then you can be at my wedding. So
yeah, it's like there's we can make up for that kind of thing with yours.
Maybe y'all can like redo your vows or something.
I was about to say like I could be Kevin's best man, but it's like but I don't like. No. I'm not like besties with Kevin. Like I love Kevin, but it's like he's your boyfriend. I don't like I hang out with him when I see you.
But Kevin is a very hard-working man, and he hardly hangs out with me. So, Kevin.
It's no diss on you, Kevin. We love you.
Yes, we love Kevin, even though you're in bed, sound asleep.
Like it's funny because I'll just go ahead and tell this story. Lacey was kind of like, because this is our first time to record the podcast. This is the first episode. Mm-hmm. And like, we're, because I wanted to set up like a comfortable kind of thing with the couches and stuff, but like I have a PC that I'm recording this with in here, and I don't want to move all of it, and the laptop is a piece of crap. So there was no way to like go and be comfortable somewhere. So like, I don't know. Let me actually I'll read because it's actually kind of funny. Like she was trying to figure out what was she trying to figure out? Okay, so I work till 10 p.m. So she knew like, okay, as soon as I'm off work, I'm gonna come pick her up, and and like record as long as we want. So she said, yes, if you go home after work, I'll have Kev drop me up if he's still awake. Were you cool with him? Oh, okay. So back whenever you texted me that, I guess I thought you said like Kev to like. Now let me just be completely clear. Would have not had a problem at all with Kevin coming here because he's came here plenty of times. It's just like my thought, I think, on it was like, okay, well, if he wants to be in it, I do not have a third microphone. I just got this other one. And if he wants to be bored in the living room and like play Fortnite or something, like go for it. But so when you just now said like he's asleep right now, it made me think about like the little bit of like us trying to figure out, is Kevin coming or not? And in my mind, okay, let me just a little bit about Lacey here. Her and her boyfriend go everywhere together, do everything together. They're a little insane with it, but it's not a bad thing. Because, like, I feel like it's not just from her, it's from him as well, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not saying y'all are obsessed with each other. Like, I think it's obviously sweet. Like, it's, you know,
well, also,
it means nothing but good things. But, like, what was I trying to say about that? Oh, yeah. In my mind, when you were trying to figure out, we were both trying to figure out, is Kevin coming to the podcast recording but without being in it, like just being in the living room hanging out? In my mind, because if that were in me and I was the boyfriend in that situation, like it was like, well, I was thinking like, well, like that's fine, but does Kevin want to do that? Like so
he originally asked yesterday if he could come over because I work tomorrow.
Yeah.
And, like, I'm not going to be able to spend a lot of time with him tomorrow. And Saturdays now are my only day off from school and work. So we kind of wanted to spend, like, the day together. And then we went to the pool. We, like, cooked with our friends. We hung out with our friends.
Yeah,
and he ended up falling asleep. So let me preference by saying he gets up for work at 3 o'clock in the morning on Monday through, it really depends, but usually Monday through Friday. But he works Monday through Friday, and he's been recently working some Saturdays, half days. So about like 60 hours a week. And he's a welder. He works his butt off at work. And like I'm very proud of him and thankful for all that. Like he's super good at what he does, and he works really hard. That's why So, I said that I had, like, a pretty hard year. I took a few months off of just school and work completely, and I just stayed home. Stay-at-home girlfriend, wife, whatever you want to call it. Because I don't want to make it sound like I was staying at home doing nothing, because I was doing things, like, and I would always, like, do little side jobs or whatever, but that's why mainly we went everywhere together, is because I don't know a lot of people here, and I don't really, my anxiety, I don't feel comfortable going places by myself.
Yeah.
So that's really why we did everything together. Now that I have two friends that literally, one lives with me and one's neighbors, we've been doing a lot more things separate. Except for Saturdays. So.
No, yeah, and I've been like, yeah, but that was just kind of funny, like talking about is he coming or not, like, because it just in my mind in the moment it was like, in my mind in the moment it was more of just like, doesn't he want to sleep? Like, why would he want to? Like, but I mean, hey, he can take a nap on the couch.
Well, originally I was planning on heading over here about. Like, as soon as you got off, like 10:15, 10:30, and then we'd film the podcast for an hour and a half, and then we could all hang out together, and then for about an hour and head home. Because staying up till midnight or like 12:30 is not that big of a deal for him on a weekend. But since we didn't start filming until like 11:45, then I was like, yeah, you might want to just stay home. And I texted him whenever I got over here, and I was like, good night, love you. And he never responded. So that means he was already asleep. He was already asleep by the time I got over here.
Yeah.
But we did have a long day.
Like, yeah, just to go back on that story from earlier, I was getting off at 10 p.m. and my plan was just pick her up right away. I would have just like not had a shower yet and just smelled a little worse because it's just the sweaty like summer heat outside and stuff, and like, and so she just like called me and was like, she was doing her friend's hair like she said earlier, and she's like, how late can I stay over there? I'm like, Saturdays are my Fridays, like, so all night if you want. And you were like, okay, this is only gonna be, this is like 9:30. I'm about to get off in 30 minutes. She's like, it's gonna be another hour, and I'm like, then I'm gonna go take a shower, and when you're ready, let me know.
Yes.
And she was just like, probably midnight, and it was like a little before that, but yeah, I mean, it just like, I don't know, it's like we have busy lives separately and everything. We try to like hang out and stuff. It doesn't always work out, but I mean, but like you said earlier, like, and this is something I thought of when I thought of doing the podcast with you, was like that's just gonna be a reason to like get together and like you said, it's like therapy, just talk. Because we already do that.
Yes, and let me add, like, okay, so
subtract.
I said that I didn't have any kids. My best friend and her 4-year-old lives with me, so I, like, nephew, as I call him, he's 4, and even though he's not my kid, living with a 4-year-old is like having a child.
I'm sure.
I mean, like, we pretty much co-parent him, so, yeah, but, like, man, does he take all the energy out of me. I love him to death, but he was asleep on my floor whenever I left. I didn't leave him there alone. His mother was there.
Don't be thinking things about other parents that are listening. Yes.
No, but the thing about our house is, like, if one of us need to go to the store, but we don't want to take Xavier, that's his name, like, we don't want to take Xavier with us, one adult is going to be there to stay behind.
Yeah.
So that's the good thing about having, I guess for her, about having us there, is, like, there's always going to be a second parent for him. Yeah. Or a third or fourth parent. So living with her she only lives there part-time, because she is a coach for softball, so she's 2 hours away where she lives, half the week, and then our house half the week. But we love her to death. But yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's good to have, like, people like that in your life that to rely on, but also, and you've seen some of them come and go.
Yes, definitely.
Maybe there'll be stories for another time
about
that.
Well, the good thing is,
let's say I had some very strong opinions about some people, but it worked out.
Well, I haven't mentioned this to you, but the last people that we had stay over, the girl out of that situation, out of that couple, they're, like, the good thing about that is they're no longer together, and she came back and she apologized for everything, and we've started talking again, and, like, she's like, well, yeah, we're no longer together. I saw how bad he was. Oof. And yeah, and now we're, like, so anybody that I've tried being quote-unquote roommates with, they have come back, and I'm just going to add that they always don't work out because of relationships, and then they are no longer in relationships. When they come back, they're like, yeah, that was dumb. I'm like, yeah, it was. Told you that was dumb. But no, like, both of those girls, like, I talk to now on a daily basis, and, like, you live and you learn, pretty much. They've learned from their mistakes, and would I let them move back in with me? No, but
yeah,
but could we be friends? Yes.
Right.
That is and it's a mature thing to do, to be friends after everything that has happened with both of them. Like, and I'm not saying everything that's happened, like, a lot has happened, but whenever you try to live with somebody that you're best friends with, sometimes it doesn't work out, especially whenever you're there with them 24/7. Now, Keely, and I know she doesn't care if I say her name, because I already mentioned we were doing podcast. She's only there half the week, and she's also a lot older. She's not a teenager anymore. She's more of your age. Sorry, Keely.
This age is just fine. Thank you very much.
Yes. No, earlier I was sitting there doing her hair, and she was like, what did she say? I said something like, hey, you have a kid standing behind you. And she's like, yeah, I'm technically a kid. I'm like, yeah, I'm technically a kid compared to you. And she's like, hey, that was not very nice. I'm like, well, I didn't mean it that way, but like,
yeah,
you're 24.
Right.
So, but yes, I seem to hang out with everybody older than me. Whenever I try to hang out with people younger than me, it doesn't work out.
Like, I think that's one part of it that, like I said earlier, I've respected, because you have gotten into situations where you didn't quote unquote choose the right people, but it is usually because, okay, let's just be real, it's because of some guy, okay, that's like stupid, okay, but
yes,
but no, like, I may or may not tell that story in a future episode. Can't spill it all in one, but yeah.
I know, I have like so many things I want to say. And, like,
I know, and it's like
so many things I want to go down. So many
rabbit holes.
Like, I want to tell more about our stories in this past year and like everything, because I feel like that's part of getting to know us what.
Yeah, I mean, what we've been through is a lot to do with it. That's what my therapist is telling me. Like, literally, like, I genuinely, like, he has really helped me understand, because, like I said, I've never had somebody that's a professional at this hear my story and then be able to say, yes, because of this, this, and this in your childhood, that's why you have this, this, and this. And, yes. I mean, you kind of got the same information at a certain age, too.
Yes. And me starting school and a job is a huge thing for me now, because the past, I would say, 6 months to a year, more the last 6 months, yeah, well, a little bit more than that, but still, like, every time I've tried to do something has happened to get in the way of that.
Yeah.
Like, there has been 4 or 5 major events in the past year that is crazy to me, that I'm able to start school and work, and literally the week before I start school, something else, like, very upsetting happened, and I still started, and I was so, like, that was such a hard thing to do.
It was hard, but also something in me was kind of like, honestly, though, as much as I'm all about someone, let yourself experience emotions, but don't be, like, not have something to do. And so I feel like it was almost the perfect time for you to have a distraction, unlike the previous one recently that, not saying you didn't have anything to do, but you definitely had less to do.
Yes.
And so with this one, it was, perfect timing. And just like my therapist has, asked me a couple times with, we'll get into, like, at some point in the future, we'll get into the one specific loss that affected us both. But, like, one thing my therapist asked me kind of recently, actually, was, like, I'm wondering if you have actually processed all that, because he surprised me by saying, like, actually, it's about 6 months. Like, or longer. You can take as long as you want to mourn over somebody or a loss, but, like, to fully process, oh, snap, they're gone, is longer than, like, just a few weeks, which kind of melted my mind a little bit.
And I had that moment.
Yeah.
Actually, a couple weeks ago. And it was very hard. Like, I went home and I was crying. Like, I was crying. I was very upset for a while. And the thing is like, it was with the second loss I dealt with, and it had only been 3 weeks. And I don't know what it was in me, but it was my first day of work, and I got off, and I was tired. I'd been at school all day. I'd been at work all day. And I was talking to my Siri, and I was like, hey, Siri, call, like, her name. And then, and then I was like, oh, snap, like.
Yeah, like, you literally in that moment.
And it went straight to,
her.
Yeah, it went straight to voicemail. And I was like, what? And then it hit me.
And then you realized.
Yeah. But the thing is...
So I guess you've kind of, like... So you probably have done that without even thinking about it. Like, just call her just to call her.
Yes. And I was, like, so excited to tell her about work. So, I got home, and I told Kevin, I was like... I was crying as soon as I walked in the door, and he's like, what's wrong? Like, did work go bad? And I was like, no. I tried to call her, and it went straight to voicemail, and I just forgot. And, like, the most perfect thing he could have said in that moment, he said, and it, like, made me realize, I was like, he's like, well, why did you call her? And I was like, well, I just wanted to tell her how my day went. And he was like, she already knows how it went. And I was like, yeah, you're right. She already saw the whole thing. But that is some, like, deep stuff that we've both experienced.
And that's fine. Like, I feel like, and again, I invite anybody gone through something or whatever, or the people to talk to. I know you guys don't really know us yet. Some of y'all do. Some of you don't. I invite any of it. That's what I want this podcast to be, is, an opportunity, cutting up, whatever, making jokes about stuff. Mm-hmm. We'll probably talk about farts every now and then. I like bringing up farts. But I like talking about the life stuff. I like, digesting just any kind of information, and of course learning. It doesn't necessarily have to be a podcast about helping people, but I invite that. I want to invite that. And that's maybe a part of my reason why the podcast idea was, like, the biggest, like, that is it's a green flag. Couldn't be greener, like, just, because it makes sense with what we talk about and stuff we've been through. And like I said, the age gap where we can give people different perspectives, it just makes sense. Whereas how many people will we help, that's up to just the universe, whatever, but we are just normal people like y'all that have experienced things, and just in a creative form able to, connect, I guess. I don't know, I'm really bad with, wording things on the spot, but it's definitely something that's, very, very deep, feel very deeply, want to do. Just never really, I've had to pivot so many times with audio platform stuff. And honestly, podcasting is just so raw. There'll be, a couple, 2 or 3 cuts in this, and that's it. It just, that's what I like about it. It's easy. Mm-hmm. Whereas, a hyperly edited thing, I'll be like, oh my god, I got so much other stuff to do, but this is, so easy, so.
Yes. And I have a lot of new upcoming things that, we can talk about.
Yeah, update as we go.
Yeah. I haven't even told you one of them.
What's that?
We're getting a house.
Really?
Yeah. And
where?
Then the next 6 months.
Not...
Here. We're getting a house. Well... Okay, getting a house is kind of like a big term. We're moving to a house. We're not completely buying a house.
Right.
It'll be kind of like a rent-to-own situation. But, we're at the point now where we can get one. So, I'm pretty excited for that.
Oh, yeah. That's life-changing.
Yes, I'm so excited. We kind of, made the decision. In the past month. We've been talking about it for about 6 months now. We are tired of living in apartments.
Yeah.
But I'm super excited, and I'll be graduating school in 10 months. So that's I just started. Let me rephrase that. I can graduate school in 10 months if I keep my attendance up, because if any of y'all know, cosmetology school, any minute you miss, you have to make up the end. any hour. It's not like regular school. Like if I missed 3 hours for a doctor's appointment the other day, I have to make that up at the end. So, or I have to stay late, or I have to go on a Saturday.
It's interesting how they do that.
Yes, like I have to get like 1,600 hours exactly, or I cannot graduate. There is a girl there that has been there for almost 2 years now, and it's a 10-month course. So, I mean, it really depends if I keep my attendance up. It's not been the best recently. I mean, it's not been horrible, but it's definitely been, I've had a few days in the past month where I'm like, I have to go home. Like, I do not feel the best. Keep in mind that first week was really rough.
Right.
And then that, like, about last week, I started getting sick. And I ended up getting, like, a double ear infection, like, sinus, like, everything. It felt like I had the flu. It was awful. But that's why I say, like, something new starts to happen, something else goes wrong. And that's, like, with anything. Like, something good starts to happen, and something bad goes wrong. But just gotta keep moving.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's just what you have to do, and I mean, I think that is kind of a good message to probably start wrapping it up, because we're nearing an hour and a half.
Yes.
Which is fine, because like, and we can have episodes that go freaking 3 hours if we want. But as for the first one,
not tonight.
But as for the first one, it's one of those things where it's like, let's save more stories for future episodes. And but
Yes.
Is there anything you want to tell the people before we wrap up?
I'm tired.
I'm tired.
Yes,
Yeah, we're both
normally,
tired.
okay, I know I said that I work till 10, and I do, but, like, I'm not in bed, so it's like, I feel like it's 3 o'clock in the morning. What time is it?
It's like 1:19 a.m.
Oh, my goodness, I need to go to sleep.
But yeah, guys, we're going to wrap it up here. Leave your questions. Also follow us on, because by the time you see it, whatever, it'll be on, I'm going to set this up on the listening platforms. It'll be on Spotify and wherever you get your podcast, but like, stay patient with that, because it might not be on iTunes right away, but I can pretty much immediately guarantee Spotify, and YouTube, of course. And we're going to do video in the future, just so you guys know. Maybe not even, because like, just like they're getting a house, we got to get a house, me and my wife, and like, I want to set up like a streaming studio / podcast room, like, that has no bed in the way and all that, and like a lot of room, and like maybe a couch or whatever. So we'll figure that out, and we'll figure that out as we go. But yeah, like, I'm excited about it. So audio only for now, but I'm hope that you guys have a great week and that we entertained you in some way. But with that, love you, and we'll holler at you guys
We'll see you next time.
next time. Bye.
Bye.